What is up, Warshippers? SeaRaptor here, bringing you a quick first look at Tier 8 Premium Russian Battleship Lenin. Now, we were fortunate enough to retain our access to the British battleships here on public test server 0.8.1 round 2 this weekend, so that means I was able to go back and fill in the gap that I had. I wasn't able to get this battleship done last weekend when doing my first look videos, so we've come back to do it here instead. So let's look around. First things first, survivability. She has, well, a pretty below average health pool, just a touch over 63,000 HP. She has the same health pool as basically premium French battleship Gascogne, a few less HP than Richelieu, and a few more HP than Monarch, who remains worst in tier. Belt armor, down here about 350 millimeters, is better than Sinop, but not quite as good as Vladivostok over in the tech tree. Should be sufficient, though, when angled well. She has 100 millimeters of armor at the waterline all the way to the bow and nearly all the way back. Check this out. Look at this. All the way back to her very awkwardly shaped stern. Very clearly done this way to enhance her ability to handle aircraft off the stern. Torpedo protection is a pretty abysmal 22%, roughly equivalent to the British and the Germans. I didn't point out the Citadels last time, so we'll have a quick look at that. You can see here along the side of the ship, the Citadel is above the waterline ever so slightly with behind all that belt armor. So what are we looking at for main battery? Well, Lenin mounts the same 9 16-inch barrels as Vladivostok, but in a configuration that basically turns her into the Russian version of Tier 7 premium British battleship Nelson. Her shells are different than those of Vladivostok, but they appear to have the same performance. These here are marked as a 1937 version. Vladivostok's are marked as a 1915 version, but they have the same performance, identical damage, fire chance numbers, and exit velocities out of these guns. So we can't yet discover if they have the same ballistics. We just can't test the ship out to find out and report that back to you yet. As with Vladivostok, she has a 1.7 Sigma, and her dispersion circle is fair to middling, so it seems okay. And when these guns hit somebody, you're going to know you've been hit. That 13,100 high-end shell damage is pretty good for Tier 8. She has essentially the identical secondary battery to Vladivostok. The only real difference here is how she organizes her 152mm barrels. Vladivostok's are 6 double barrels, Lenin's are 4 triple barrels. The 100mm secondaries are the same on both ships and retain a 5-kilometer range. Now, AA on this version of PTS is finally updated to post-hotfix values, so we can give you a much more accurate read on what the AA of this ship is actually going to look like once these get to the live server. Her long-range aura extends out from 5.8 to 3.5 kilometers and offers a steady DPS of 128 points. Her mid-range aura covers her the rest of the way, right up to the edge of her hull with an overall DPS of 358. Like Vladivostok, she does not have a short-range aura at all. When you add in her flat capabilities, her long-range AA is roughly comparable to that of Amagi, while her mid-range AA is more comparable to that of Tier 8 Japanese battleship Key. What that means essentially is that Amagi's long-range AA is worse than Key's, Key's mid-range AA is better than Amagi's, and Lenin is kind of a blend of the two. Maneuverability. Lenin clocks in with a 20.5 knot top speed, a little slower than her cousin in the tech tree. She is quicker on the rudder, with a notably shorter turning circle, so in theory she should handle a little better. Lenin has the same basic surface detection that Richelieu and Gascogne do here, a little over 16 kilometers. Not as bad as the Japanese, nor quite as good as the Americans. She's really in the middle of the pack here. Her air detection there, 13.8 kilometers. Now, for this round of testing, all of the Russian battleships have now moved to the same style of damage control party that we saw on Oktoberskaya Revolucja, quick cooldowns but limited charges. So there's actually an argument to be made, I feel like, for using the damage control party modification in upgrade slot 1 on Soviet battleships, assuming that they retain this change. You can see here it's a 20-second duration on a 40-second cooldown, very similar to what we have on Massachusetts already in-game, but limited charges. 4 here with the premium version. Of course, you would get an additional charge, 5 for Superintendent. It essentially makes Superintendent probably a required captain skill for Soviet battleship captains. Her repair party is standard for her tier, and she has the option to choose between catapult fighters or this funky Russian battleship radar that detects enemy battleships and carriers out to a range of 15 kilometers. So, there's Lenin. That's kind of a quick overview of the whole package. At first glance, it's really hard to see anything noteworthy that makes you want to feel like you'd invest money or coal or steel or whatever they choose to sell this ship for. She has less health pool than her tech tree cousin to go with the same consumables, the same AA, the same guns, the same shell damage, the same shell velocities, presumably the same shell penetration and ballistic characteristics. So the only real tangible difference, like improvement, I should say, is her handling characteristics. That's the only thing that really gives her a leg up on the ship in the tech tree. So is that really enough? For me, I don't think so. But we're going to have to play her to find out and know if that's really all, the only, is that really everything? I don't know. We'll find out. All right, guys, there we go. That's a quick look at Tier 8 Premium Soviet Battleship Lenin. Have a look around the channel. I've got reviews, first looks at all the other Soviet battleships up here as well. And thanks for watching. Take care.